Hello, welcome to, I forgot which week it is today. Today we're going to be talking about the subject of vibe coding. If you haven't heard about vibe coding, that's probably a good thing. But unfortunately, Y Combinator has been pushing the idea of vibe coding. It wasn't actually Y Combinator, it was someone by the name of Andrej Karpathy. He's the OpenAI lead scientist. And he basically said, why do we even need developers? Why don't we just vibe code? You probably can't even see that, but there we go. Now you can see it, okay? So why even code when you can vibe code? Vibe code literally just means I don't know how to code. I just tell the machine to code, and I don't even need to look at it. It'll just do it for me. Now, see, this video is supposed to be about vibe coding and why people do it and all that, but if you're watching this video, no sane person is going to listen to me talk about why vibe code is good. So in fact, let's talk about why vibe code is bad. Okay? Because I don't think enough people talk about this. I think everyone on Twitter that talks about vibe coding has never done anything more than a React portfolio. And so they don't really know what they're talking about, and they've never done complex applications. By the way, I'm a startup founder. I just released my app, by the way, over 100,000 lines, by the way. Anyway. So let's actually talk about why coding is really important, right? And I think number one is like, let's call this not vibe coding. So first of all, there's a lot of problems with vibe coding. It's because the philosophy behind vibe coding is that you're not supposed to know how something works. You're just supposed to tell the machine to make it. And what that means inherently is you have no idea what software infrastructure is. And let me tell you this, coming from someone, infrastructure, it's coming from someone that, startup founder, by the way, has had to design his own app called Airy, by the way. I had to do a lot of research about software infrastructure. And, when I look at these Twitter Andes say that software, you can just vibe code it and you'll be perfectly fine. I think they're truly losing their marbles, or they're trying to make calculator apps. And, calculator apps are great. And, I can make a calculator app LLM if I wanted to. But I'm not going to do that. And what I mean by, all of this is literally just people don't make complex apps. And so they don't run into this problem about software infrastructure. Stuff like Kafka messaging systems. How do you deliver messages into an app from a service? What are microservices? People that vibe code don't know these things. And so whenever you're trying to do anything remotely complex, this falls apart, at least for now. Maybe in a year I eat my own words, but right now this doesn't work. So let's cut it short there. So no idea on software infrastructure. And I also say this because people that vibe code are gonna make a React project and everything is gonna be inside app.js, and that's gonna make me mad. And I'm gonna be angry, and I don't like seeing that. So, not good code. Secondly, literally, not good code. And you know what happens with not good code? The worst thing about not good code is not that it's pretty, it's the fact that you're gonna have security issues. People that, the Twitter Andes, that make their React portfolio over and over again and think LLMs are the greatest thing ever, and also praise Elon Musk, are fine with vibe coding because it's not good code. Literally. There are a bunch of examples on Twitter of people making games where the games don't work, and there's security flaws, and people have gotten hacked, and they don't know how peer-to-peer works. All of these systems, networking, goes into software infrastructure. There's a whole big problem here. And so if we're really gonna go into a vibe coding future, this is not really gonna work out. So not good code is definitely a part of why we should not be vibe coding. Now the third reason, I've been explaining vibe coding as someone like, that's kind of, what if you're never a software engineer? How are you supposed to know about software infrastructure, or what good code is, or literally anything? How are you supposed to know that? Okay, I get it. You're gonna fall into these pitfalls. And that's fine, because you're a beginner. You're not gonna make complex apps. You're not gonna be a startup founder. Oh wait, GPT API wrappers. I'm a startup founder that doesn't do that, by the way. Airy, by the way. But you know what? There are software developers that now vibe code. And you know what the problem with that is? You forget how to code. There is this thing, and let's be serious for a second. Forget how to code, right? Let's be completely honest. And let me pull up some facts. So there's actually a paper between Microsoft and Carnegie Mellon. They actually partnered, and it was about the way that LLMs affect software developers' critical thinking skills and how they solve problems. It's essentially like a 30-page paper, but the synopsis is basically this. When LLMs vibe code, when they do the problems, the simple ones, even if you use cursor and you do the tabbing, right? We call these easy problems, right? A good developer is not one that can solve hard problems. A good developer is one that solved millions of easy problems. And they've done it so many times that they can break any problem down into millions of easy problems. A hard problem into millions of easy problems. But what happens when an LLM does the easy problems for you? Well, you forget how to do those easy problems, and thus the hard problems become even harder. What happens? You forget how to code. And I'm talking this in like the most literal sense. I've seen people in this campus, Cal State LA by the way, that literally cannot code in Python, probably the closest thing to vibe coding. They don't even know how to write a print statement. And they can't do anything without Claude Sonnet 3.7. And when they run out of tokens, they're completely doomed. So we don't want to be like that. And that's the problem. You forget how to code. And I don't just mean software infrastructure or not good code. It can be all of these things, but it can also be syntax, right? People legitimately forget that strings exist, right? And how string manipulation works, and how memory works, right? People forget there's a garbage collector, because the garbage collector is LLMs looking at your code, right? So I'd like to dedicate this video for you, professor, that thinks that vibe coding might be the future. And I'm here to tell you that that is completely wrong. And this is a fallacy, at least for now. You might prove me wrong later. Startup founder, by the way, Ari, by the way. I fine-tuned my own model, by the way. And I have the only app in the world that has such crazy inference performance, by the way. Don't vibe code. Thank you. I'll see you next week.